Hi, I'm Dre. I'm your mindset coach and mentor of change. I'm walking you to another one of our get togethers. Today, we look to discuss how to step into a management role at your current company. In this episode, we're going to go over just 5 different ways that you can really make sure that you set yourself apart from other people. When you're trying to understand, well, if I want to be promoted and I'm doing some things the right way, why is it not happening yet? And you're going to find that it's always going to come down to the beliefs that you have. You have to genuinely believe that A, you can be promoted, B, that you are qualified to be promoted, and C, that they will promote you. And I know it sounds kind of like simple to say that, and I admit it is, but you have to always understand that the beliefs that you have create your reality. The actions that you take are based on your beliefs. You find that whenever someone has a belief that something can or should happen, then they take steps in that belief. Right? Generally speaking, we all wear clothes when we're outside because we have the belief that it is going to have a negative reaction if we walk around naked. Right? It's really that simple that if you did not believe that A, you'd be arrested, B, someone would take a whole bunch of pictures of you and spread it all over social media, or C, you'll just embarrass yourself, then you would walk around naked. But because you understand that it's illegal and acceptable and maybe embarrassing, you wear clothes. And while that seems extreme and it sounds a little over the top, and I admit it really is, but you have to understand that whatever your beliefs are, they are aligned with the actions that you are taking. If you do not like the actions that you are taking, you have to examine which belief you must have for you to take that action. So, for you to step into a management role, for you to set yourself apart from the competition, you really do have to believe that you're qualified, that it's possible, and that they are willing to do it. And so we just want to go over into 5 strategies that will help you build upon that belief if you already have it. And if you don't have it, we look to build that confidence. Because when you're talking about, well, why is it not working right now? You're going to have to examine, well, what fear, what sabotage, what self doubt may I be struggling with internally that is holding me back? And when you're trying to figure this out, number one, we're going to start with you really want to make sure that you just develop a growth mindset and that you learn as much as possible. The thing that some of us do, the mistake that some of us make is we don't step into that management role until it's available, until someone's looking to fill it. That Bob or Sally left the company and now it's time for us to show what we're made of. Well, no, you're slightly behind the curve. The thing about showing what you should be doing is you have to plant those seeds early. If you want someone to be looking at the work that you're doing and you want them to judge it from the prism that I'm trying to show you that I'm ready for management, then you're going to want to let them know. Hey, Supervisor Bob, I'm interested in a management position. And do you think that there's anything that I can do or any projects that I can add to my workload? Anything that you think would help the company see that I'm ready for this management role? And if you have a good boss, then you guys sit down and you come up with a plan. And then what happens is you've already planted the seed. So they already know that you're interested in a management position. And B, now everything you do, they're judging through that prism. See, the mistake some of us make is we start doing these actions and we think, oh, well, surely they know I'm taking on this extra work because I'm trying to be promoted. Meh, maybe, hopefully, ideally, but probably not. If you want someone to judge the right situation, then you have to give them that information. I remember coming across a pretty funny study where they basically just had this group of people that were kind of like humming or tapping a song, and then they had the other half where those people interpreted what song they were playing or what melody that they were tapping. And you'll not very surprised, but the majority of the time they got it wrong. And I've done that myself where I thought for sure that I was like popping or making some clicking sound perfectly in melody with one of my favorite songs. And none of my kids were able to figure out what song I was making the noise to. And I'm like, you can't hear the rhythm? Well, it sounds a little different in our head. It sounds really good in our head. But that's just not what people are dealing with. What people are hearing is just random sounds. And when you equate that to you communicating that, well, I want to set myself up for management, so I'm going to just do extra work, it just sounds like random sounds. Okay, you're doing extra work. I appreciate that, but I don't know what your motive is. I don't know. Maybe you just want a raise. Maybe you're just trying to help out a friend in another department. Maybe you just are bored and you're trying to expand your horizons. Like, I don't know the reason that you're doing it, but if you tell me, now I know. And I'm going to judge your actions by that, which only helps you. Number two is you want to make sure that you are being a problem solver. Problem solving, ladies and gentlemen, is what everybody gets paid, that is paid well to do. If you want to set yourself apart from other people, problem solvers have an entrepreneurial mindset. And what I mean by that is the average person is very task oriented. Okay, well, I have to talk to 100 people a day because I need to make sure that I hit that mark. Well, is your mark really to talk to 100 people a day? Or is your mark to get 10 clients to sign up? And the company told you that you probably have to call 100 people a day. And what I mean is let's say that you called 100 people and you only got 5 people to sign up, but you know they want 10. Should you stop at 100 or should you keep going? Should you do 200? Well, you should probably do 200, at least until you figure out what it is that has your numbers below average. But the opposite is also true. If they want you to call 100 people a day because that's what it takes on average to get 10 people to sign up, but you're able to do it with 50, then you're done because they just want the 10 signups. At least if you have a good manager, it's about the results. So when you're working on problem solving, you have to understand you're focusing on the results. So you don't care who gets credit. You don't even care who gets the blame. You don't care what he said or she said or what they said and what they're doing and where we're going. You just focus on the goal and accomplishing it. Whenever an obstacle shows up, you try to offer healthy solutions. Whenever people are bickering and complaining and pointing fingers, you are just focusing people back on task because that's what a leader would do. That's what someone in management would do. So if you want someone to understand that you are seeking management, first you tell them, and then B, you start showing some of these attributes. And problem solving is one of the key aspects of being a leader. And conflict resolution, which we're going to talk about in another episode, is a key aspect of dealing within people in an organization. And number three, we want to build your network, right? The saying goes, it takes a village. And while it sounds like it's getting a little overused, it really is true in the sense that how much can you truly do by yourself versus how much could you collaborate and build and accomplish with other people? And you're going to find that if you have the choice between you doing all 8 pieces of an assembly line or you getting 8 people to help you with the assembly line, it's going to work a lot better if you have 8 people on it. But we have difficulties trusting people. When you're trying to understand that, it's very clear that we're just dealing with the fear of losing control. We don't like to share our knowledge base. We don't know if that's going to make us obsolete, make them more important. We're just not sure what's going on. So when you're dealing with the fear of losing control, it's often tied to the fear of failure and the fear of uncertainty. You just don't know what's going to happen when you let go of the information. But if you hold on to it, then you at least know that you're the gatekeeper. So everybody has to talk to you. But that's not helping you with your overall goal of building a network to show that you are ready for management. When you build a network, you always focus on a service mindset. And what that means is every person you come into an interaction with, your number one goal is to see what problem they have and how you can help them solve it. Point blank, period. That is the only thing that you are doing with your network. There is literally nothing else that you are doing with your network in the early going. You're only looking to see what problems they have and how you can solve them. You're trying to build some trust, you're trying to build some credibility, and it's very easy for you to get that political capital by giving and helping and showing that it's not all about you. If you've ever been in a situation where someone walks up that you barely know and the first thing they ask you is something from you, it normally puts you off a little bit. You're like, well, I don't know that I even know you well enough, and I'm not sure that I want to, because if this is a sign of our relationship, the fact that you've asked me for something immediately puts me off. I know for me personally, that is my thought process. Whenever something like that happens, that's genuinely what I'm thinking. I'm like, well, geez, we like got right into that, didn't we? And when you're trying to build your network, you just don't want that aspect. You want people to understand that it is a benefit for them to know you. Because you may not be aware of it, but what often is what happening is when someone is being tossed around as far as the name for consideration of a manager, most oftentimes they start talking to their coworkers. How do you feel about working under Dre? Have you ever had a project with Dre? How did you feel working with him? Do you think Dre is ready for management? And a lot of the times, our reputation, how we're perceived, it precedes us. In the sense that I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that if they talk to me, then I'd be able to clear everything up. It's just a complete misunderstanding. But a lot of the time, they just don't talk to you. They're going to talk to other people. They feel like that's how they get an unbiased opinion. Of course, you're going to say nice things about yourself. Why would you do anything else? And it's a fair question. It's an honest question. So you have to build your network so that you can build your influence. And the best way to build your influence so that you can show people all the time that, you know what? Dre's helping people in this department. He's helping people in that department. I just heard he gave this to that person in HR and he just gave that to the executive team. And people didn't really ask for much from him, but he's willing to give it. That assertiveness, that confidence that you find within leaders, it's not something that you're born with necessarily. It's something that you can build. And a lot of times when you're building it, it has to do with what you're able to get other people to understand about you. Right? If everyone at the company is saying, you know what, Bob is amazing. He's so helpful. He's so considerate. He's so knowledgeable. You really start to believe that. And it's important that you do because you're doing the work for them to believe it. And number 4, we're going to close it out actually with just leading by example. Leading by example is very simply whatever you expect of other people, you show and do that yourself. Too often we have the generals standing in the back, not in the front, on the front lines with their people. Too often we have the idea of almost like, hey, don't do what I do, do what I say. But you're really not going to show that you're ready for management, right? That's generally a sign of immaturity, right? If someone wants to have their cake and eat it too, they either have a low emotional intelligence, because you have to know that that's not going to be received very well by your people, or B, they just don't care, which is probably a little bit worse because you can't really help someone in that situation. Someone's just like, look, I know what the rules are, but I'm above the rules. The rules are for you. Well, how does someone feel following someone like that? So you just want to lead by example. If you want everyone to show up 10 minutes early, then you obviously need to be there 30 minutes early. You can't show up with them at 10 minutes early because how are you going to hold them accountable? You have to be there looking at people when they come in the door. You're leading by example. If you want everyone to be mindful of people's time, then when you have a meeting, it's not that I'm the boss so I can go over. You let people go when the time of the meeting is over. If you want people to be mindful of time, then you have to show them that you care about time. And generally speaking, whatever you spend your time on is exactly how other people know what matters to you. If family matters to you, then spend time with your family. If your promotion matters to you, then spend time creating the professional career that will get you a promotion. If money matters to you, if health matters to you, if relationships matter to you, if the company matters to you, spend the time in those aspects of your life because that is the only way other people will see what actually matters to you. It's one thing to say it, but it's completely different to show it and live it. And that's really what I'm encouraging you to do. And if you put these attributes together, you're going to find it's very easy for you to get over a lot of the fears and self-doubt that you're dealing with. The fear of getting promoted, i.e. the fear of failure, the fear of success, they're two halves of the same coin, but still things that we both deal with. If you're dealing with the fear of failure, then you're worried that I won't be good enough. If you're dealing with the fear of success, then you're worried that people are going to judge you. And now that you're have a promotion, people are like, oh, well, we can't hang out with Dre anymore. We can't go to lunch with him anymore because he's the boss now. He doesn't have time for that. Or, well, every time we go out, it's your turn to pay because you make so much more than us. And some of the things are joking and jovial, but you know that there is a hint of truth in there. So you're dealing with that overall fear of judgment. And then you don't know if once I have this job, will I be able to keep it? Am I going in over my head? And that's just the fear of self doubt. And if you want to show that you are ready for a management role, then you want to put these four practices into place. Right? Number one is you just want to develop that growth mindset and learn as much as possible. Number two is you want to be a problem solver. Number three, you want to build that network. And number four, you want to lead by example. And if you could do these four things, then you will step into a management position at your job much quicker than the average person. Because the average person waits for the job to post and then they start trying to figure out, how do I show that I'm qualified for this position? How do I show that I am interested in this position? But you, having already started it, having already taken the steps on January 1, as soon as the position opens, people are going to be like, Dre, he mentioned that he was ready for management, and he's been doing a lot over these past few months to let me know that he's serious about it. I think we should interview him for this position, which is much, much, much different of a conversation than you applying. And then most companies, you have to let your supervisor know that you applied for another position. And then they look at you and then we're like, I didn't know you were interested in management. Well, I want to ask you, what would be the better reaction? What would be more likely to help you accomplish that goal? A manager who knows that you're interested in being promoted and one that has seen the steps you have taken to exhibit your abilities to step into a management role, or only when you apply for it, the manager realizes that you were interested in a management position. And you don't really have to answer, right? We both know what the answer is. It's much better for someone to already have a frame of reference that you are grooming yourself for management. And then they will have the opportunity to help and guide, and they will share their information with others when they have an opportunity. And so I just want you to understand that, just to really keep that in mind. See if this is something that you can apply to your life, and just make sure that you understand that the actions that you have are 100% tied to the beliefs that you have, which means that your beliefs that you have create your life. If you want to change your life, you gotta change your beliefs. I'm Dre. I'm your mindset coach and mentor of change. I always am thankful for our time together, and I just want to wish you continued blessings on your journey to become the champion of your dream life.